Today we're looking at an Intel PC that's definitely seen better days. This is about 10 years old, and the customer dropped it off of me. They couldn't get it to boot. So we're going to get everything taken out. We're going to get it fully deep cleaned, and we're going to try to see if we can figure out what's going on. The Core i7-8700 launched in late 2017, so this is almost coming up on 10 years old. And the customer basically told me that they went to turn it on one day, it's been sitting for a while, and it just wouldn't power on. They saw some lights, but then they got basically nothing after that. So first thing we're going to do is get everything taken out of the case and set aside, and then we're going to try to boot the platform outside of the case and see if we can get it to power up. Here's a throwback. This PC has a PCI Express Firewire card. I haven't seen those in a long time. Now that I've got everything out of the case, I really just want to get everything hooked up, see if I can get any signal at all, and see if we can figure out the issue. And upon initial inspection, this is not powering on at all. So I'm just verifying that the header is not damaged at all. And then I'm also going to try to jump it with a screwdriver. And as you can see, I get no power at all. So they also provided me a new power supply to test out because they thought it may be the power supply. So we're going to go ahead and try that too. But unfortunately, that one didn't work either. So the next step is to get everything torn down fully, take this thing outside, get everything cleaned up, and we'll give it one more shot. And if that doesn't work, we will go from there. So after removing the CPU, I just wanted to check for bent pins. Luckily, I didn't see any, so we're good to take this outside and get it cleaned up. And I always get asked in my videos, but here I'm using a WD-40 electronic contact cleaner. So this is a special formula specifically made for electronics. It's perfectly safe. I've used it for years. So that's what I'm using here. I'm not using regular WD-40. And here's the platform all cleaned up. So we'll get this taken back inside. I'm also going to test the power supply with the power supply tester just to make sure that's good and all that passed. So let's get this hooked up and give it another shot. All right, so I've come to the conclusion that the motherboard has something wrong with it. So what we're going to do now is take this older Dell PC that I have that will run 8th gen and 9th gen. I'm going to go ahead and replace the CPU with the one from this PC. And I'm also going to replace the RAM sticks as well and see if this boots up. And then I'm going to run the built-in Dell diagnostics just to make sure that the CPU and RAM pass. I just want to make sure those parts work before ordering anything else. And then once we verify those work, we can look into ordering a replacement motherboard and go from there. Luckily, this thing finally decided to boot, so now we can boot into Windows, make sure that everything looks okay, and then we'll go ahead and run the built-in Dell diagnostics, and we will go from there. So now that we know the motherboard is the main issue, I went ahead and spoke with the customer, and we agreed to order a replacement. So I'm waiting on that, but in the meantime, I'm going to get everything else cleaned up. So here I am kind of wiping down a few of the components with alcohol wipes. And then the case itself, I'm going to fully disassemble it or get everything removed. And then we'll take it outside and hose it down with some cleaner and get this thing looking as new as we possibly can, get it fully clean, get it all back together, and then we'll deal with the rust here in a little bit as well. So after removing so many screws, we finally got the case taken apart and we can take everything outside. First, I'm gonna use my blower to try to get any big chunks of dust or dirt or anything blown out. Then we'll use the hose and some cleaner, and I'll put the type of cleaner I'm using up on the screen so you can see that. And we'll go ahead and kind of get everything sprayed down and hose it off, and then we'll use the blower again to dry everything out. And that should make the case nice and clean, and then we can move on to some of the other parts. So I've done this in some previous videos, but I'll explain it here as well. So when I clean the fans with the hose, what I'll do is use the blower to get all the water out. I'll then use electronic contact cleaner where the bearings are as well to get water out using that. And then I'll also use regular WD-40, and that will just soak in and make sure that there's no moisture that shouldn't be in there. And essentially I'll let that dry out fully as well, and then it's pretty much good to go. I don't know if this is exactly how you're supposed to do it, but I've done it this way for a while now and I haven't had any issues. And like I said before, if something were to happen to the fans, I could always replace them. And it's not really that big of a deal, but this way I know they're fully clean. There's not any dust or gunk sitting in there, and everything is fully cleaned out. So I'm going to use the same cleaner that I used on everything else, and I'm going to spray down the glass panel. And then once that's done, I will go ahead and spray down the heatsink as well. And we'll get all those hosed off and dried out, and then we will go from there. So I'm cleaning the power supply as well, but I'm not going to use the hose. Essentially what I'm going to do is use the blower and the electronic contact cleaner spray and get in there as best as I can and leave it like that. Usually you don't want to ever open up a power supply just because the potential to hurt yourself. So I always recommend to leave that alone, but still want to clean it as best we can. So I used the alcohol wipe on the power button and the USB hub for the case just to make sure those were fully clean. I went ahead and got the case back together, and the next thing we're going to do is tackle the rust on the front panel. So I made a quick trip to Harbor Freight, grabbed some supplies that I needed to tackle this rust, but step one, we need to remove the metal piece with the rust on it from the plastic piece that sits on the front of the case. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these screws. I'm going to put those in some isopropyl alcohol to get those clean. And then I'm also going to wipe down this front plastic piece. There was just some gunk on there I needed to get rid of, so we'll just wipe that off. And then once I have the metal piece separate, what I'm going to do is use this pad to really wipe down the piece as much as I can and kind of get the rust off and rough it up a little bit just so I can use the Rust-Oleum. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll talk about the process of actually painting it and covering up the rust and kind of preventing it in the future, hopefully, and making it look a lot better. So here's my quick little setup to get this painted. So essentially I've just got a big Amazon box, and then I've got this propped up at an angle. So I'm going to take my time and just kind of go back and forth and try to spray an even coat on one side, and then let it dry, flip it over, do the same thing. Essentially, just let it dry out. And then also noticed that there are a handful of screws that are also a little bit rusted. So I went ahead and sprayed those as well, just to give them a chance to kind of stop the rust on that. And then once everything is fully dried and it's had time to cure, I'll go ahead and get it back in the front panel, and we'll move on to the rest of the build. So we went on a little journey with these motherboards. The first one arrived damaged in shipping. They did not package it properly, and it probably still would have worked, but I didn't want to put this in their computer with the PCB obviously, chipped off like this. I didn't want to use that. And the second one arrived, and it had a bent pin. So I was able to bend that back, and we were able to keep on going. Obviously, I fully tested everything at the end, but still very annoying, but we were able to prevail and continue on with the build. So after all that, we're going to get the CPU, the RAM, and the CPU cooler moved to the new motherboard. And then we can start getting stuff back in the case and see if this thing is going to boot up the way we expect. And yeah, we'll go from there. And actually, before putting everything back in the case, I went ahead and hooked it all up. Just did a quick test boot outside of the case. It booted up just fine. So now we're ready to get everything back in the case and get this thing finished up. And since we're going from a full ATX motherboard to a micro ATX motherboard, I had to move the standoffs. And I found out that Fantex does not use standard standoffs. They use M4 size, which are larger than the standard M3 size. So I didn't have any screws on my screwdriver set, or sockets rather, that would fit that. So I actually had to get a wrench and actually wrench them out one by one, move them around, and get them in place so I could actually put the motherboard in properly. So just heads up, if you use a Fantex case or you pick up an old case, the standoffs that you get that you've used for everything else are probably not going to fit, and you're either going to have to get larger ones or move the ones around that are in here and reuse those. So yeah, just heads up on that. And now that we're done with all that, I can finally get the motherboard back in the case along with the power supply and the storage. So we'll go ahead and get all that installed, do some cable management, and then we'll move on to some final touch-ups. So I spoke with the customer again, and they mentioned that they wanted a GPU in here as well so they could play some games and do some Photoshop stuff. So I've got a 1660 Ti that we're going to use, and I'm just going to open this up real quick, repaste it, and get it back in here. And I've got a whole series of videos on how to do this stuff with graphics cards, so if you're interested, you can definitely check those out. But yeah, we're going to get this thing cleaned up, get it back in the case, and then move on to next steps. So there's one more issue to tackle with this PC, and basically it was the power button. For whatever reason, the power button doesn't want to always power on or power off the PC, so we need to bypass it, and the cheapest way to do that is to get a wired external power button. So what this does is it has a really long wire that connects to the front panel connector. You can run it outside of the case, and then you can stick it somewhere on the case and use that as the power button. So this one essentially ran from the bottom connector, front panel connector, through one of the PCI slots on the bottom of the case, and then around the top of the case, and we were able to stick it on there. So that will give them a functioning power button that they don't have to worry about, and that's the most cost-effective way to solve the problem. And here's what that power button looks like on top, and you can see it doesn't look too bad, so we'll go ahead and show you the finished product and get this wrapped up.
Well, there we have it. I think it cleaned up really well. It's an older PC, like we talked about, but it still does everything they needed to do. I slapped a 1660 Ti in there, mainly to help with Photoshop. I think Photoshop can still utilize those CUDA cores and stuff like that. I'm not a huge Photoshop user, so I'm not really sure. But they wanted something that could play games and help with Photoshop. So I put that in there. I didn't reinstall Windows. I left it as is, even though it's a different motherboard. But it still seems to be working fine. And I kind of told them if they have any issues, we might want to do a fresh install. But there's a lot of stuff they wanted to look at and back up and everything. So yeah, pretty much left it like that. But overall, it I'm pretty proud. It turned out pretty good. The external power button's a little weird, but that one was just so finicky that if you didn't hit it just the right way, it wouldn't power on. And I didn't really like that. And I talked to them about that and let them know that this is kind of the solution that we came up with. I don't really like the fact that it runs out of the back, but I didn't want to drill any additional holes or do anything like that. And it can always be removed, and we could always go with something else, maybe a wireless configuration or something like that if they wanted to spend money on it. But overall, I'm really proud of this one and everything that came with it. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I should have some more videos coming soon, but life has kind of been not treating me very well lately. I hope you're doing okay out there. I know everyone has their own struggles and challenges. I hope you can make it through and stay as positive as you can. And I appreciate everyone, and I will see you in the next one.